You are listening to the All Burgundy and Go Everything Commanders post game show, powered by the Urban Sports Scene and Fox Sports Radio, 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia. The Commanders fell to the Eagles 38-31. I'm Wole. I'm joined by my co-host Ray Jeezy. We also have the homie Big Doug from the Big Doug Show. What's going on, fellas?
Hey.
I know.
Another scary day at the office.
Look at my guy, Big Doug, man. Michael Myers himself. What's good? I love it, man. I love the outfit, man. Yeah, a tough day. We'll get into it. Though we'll get right into it. But before we get into it, actually, let's get into the particulars. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and Go Everything. Also tweet us at ABG_everything and hit us up on IG at ABG_everything and like our All Burgundy and Go Everything Facebook page. Do not forget to subscribe to our All Burgundy and Go Everything YouTube channel as well. Doug, I'm going to start with you, man. Like I mentioned, the score of the game, 38-31, offensive game. What were your thoughts on it, my man?
Well, it was odd because they started out running the ball, right? And I thought,
yeah,
all right, good. This is what we've kind of been talking about. They short passes. It's the same thing to me. They kept with the game plan, and yet it felt, I mean, how many times did he pass the ball? I don't have it up right here. It was almost 50, right?
Yeah.
All week long, we're clamoring for more rushing attempts, and I thought we were going to get them there. I mean, and Robinson was running the ball well.
Yep.
I don't know what you're supposed to do here. Like, I don't know what you take from the game. I thought he called a pretty good game. There are a couple calls I didn't like, but I thought overall he put Sam in a good position to not be Sam from last couple of weeks, right? So interception was deadly. I mean, that you just knew that was coming.
Yeah,
right. I mean, it was time, but whatever. That's one of the better defenses in the league. So I don't know. You tell me.
I mean, for me, I thought he called a good game. Again, he scored 31 points. I mean, in terms of an offense, I don't see how that's like. I'm not going to put that in the offense. The turnovers was deadly. Running the football, like you said, Doug, like you want to see him run the football, but they scored 31 points. It's the defense, man. It's like you keep seeing it over and over again, hoping that over the last couple of weeks that things have changed. You got things that we saw, like for instance, in the first meeting, having Forbes on AJ Brown. Like we saw how that worked out. Like I didn't want to see him on him again. Like that's not a thing that you can put him on. Like I understand trying to get the young man some work, but that's not something I want to see him on AJ Brown. They had nobody on the field that could check AJ Brown, but I definitely don't want to see the young guy Emmanuel Forbes on him, and he scored two touchdowns on him. So I just think that it's a situation where I don't know what they're doing defensively, to be honest with you. I just don't know. Like you have the talent on the field, and you have this. You're giving up 30 quite easily throughout this season. And if you had told any Commanders fan that you have an offense that can score 30 points or 24 points or whatever it may be, that you would think your defense would be good enough to maintain, and they haven't been.
You're right, and I texted my brother at halftime. He texted me one or two, and he said, "What's going on with the defense?" And I said, "They don't know what the defensive strategy is. I don't think they know what the game plan is."
Yeah,
like when they ran, what was it? The early, and it's odd. These games are always weird too. Early fourth quarter, they scored 17 points.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just laughing.
They give up 17, something like that, early in the fourth, and then all of a sudden, it just does what it does. Where did you hear John Allen's name called today? What did he do?
Nothing.
Well, I mean, what did he do today?
Nothing.
What did Chase do?
Nothing. All I heard was pain. To be real with you, from the line, all I heard was pain. To be real,
Mayo got worked.
Yep.
On the wheel routes. That's what's going to happen when you have Mayo playing middle linebacker. It wasn't Jamin Davis, by the way, who wore the green dot but did not play middle linebacker. He's never going to play middle linebacker on this team. That's not who he is.
No, I'm with you. Hey, Ray, what were your thoughts, man?
Interesting game. Of course, I love the energy. I told you before the game, I said they got to come out and they have to play different from how they play on the road last week, but they just came out flat. I was concerned during our pregame because Felix is like, man, I can't get a read on these guys. They all walk in flat as if just another day. But they came out ready to play in a game where you knew the home crowd wasn't going to be quite the home crowd because Philly fans were going to travel well, pack out your stadium. So I was excited with that. I think if you do that every week with the talent this team has, you don't have the record you have. So they didn't get out to a slow start. They got out to a big lead, and they forced 2 critical turnovers. Like everything you would want them to do to get a W today, I feel like they came out and did that. My only issue, real talk, I don't even mind the Sam interception. My only issue is that 4th down, Jack Del Rio chose not to blitz. He only brought the front 4 and gave Jalen Hurts how much time to throw the ball. If you're watching, nobody can keep coverage for that long. I don't care what team it is, what defensive players you have, their stars, whatever. That was my issue. I don't understand why there's not more blitz packages. It still bothers me to this day. And I think if you put pressure on Jalen Hurts, who also, Wole, holds the ball, and he's had some critical turnovers the past several weeks, I think you're right here getting a victory instead of this moral victory, as some people are.
It's not a moral victory. No, nobody's calling it a moral victory. Nobody's calling this a moral victory. Nobody.
I felt like the offense did enough to win, beyond did enough to win, and defensively they forced turnovers. It's just, for whatever reason, they could not sustain the lead, and that sucks when you get ahead on a good football team like Philly by 2 scores.
Now, that idiotic 4th down call that GB Track's talking about, when we'll look at it Tuesday on the film review show, and I promise you, Samuels is wide open over the middle. He got greedy. He could have had to, and not just that, but the 2 drops by McLaurin.
That's
were brutal. Like, to say this was EB, again, without looking at it again, I think he had 2 calls that I think he'd probably like to have back. They were early in the game. That's right. 4th and 1 play, and there was a wheel route, which I think he probably would have liked to kept in. And to your point about the blitzing, it's odd. They blitz a fair amount. Like, they didn't blitz at all last year, and they blitzed a fair amount. I bet you they blitzed 10 times today, easy.
Today they blitz more than they usually do this year. I mean, this game they definitely did. I saw some blitzing. I know. My issue with the Terry play, and Ray, you mentioned this on the chat, so I'm actually gonna pull this up. 2 individuals on the comments. Big super chef said the refs.
The refs weren't good today.
Also, George said the same as well. Don't you? So
well, Ron's got to call that when you see the other team running. Like, don't you think for a minute, like maybe those guys don't think this is going to be very close, or they didn't get it when they're running like hell up to the ball? I think you have to call time out there.
Yeah, it's like this game is like it's an interesting. It was an interesting game. I'm just, to be honest with you, because like we did a pregame, and I like Ray said, I thought it'd be a close game, but I didn't like what some of what our reporter Felix had to say about the emotion. Like, it scared me because I felt like, okay, did they give up on Ron? But to this team's point, they do match up. For whatever reason, they do match up well against the Eagles. I don't know why. They just do. They can compete with the Eagles.
What Stank say if Howe played the Eagles every week, he'd be in the Hall of Fame already?
He would, because he's putting them numbers back to back, seriously, back to back. And that's a team that you look on the talent side, on the defensive side of football, they got talent, but he puts up numbers against the Eagles. And EB, the last 2 games against the Eagles, has called a good game against them. But I want to get your thoughts on the offensive line. We'll get to the other stuff. The offensive line, there's a lot of changes in the offensive line. Larson, you saw Chris Paul now at guard. How do you think the offensive line held up?
I mean, how many sacks did he have? It wasn't many.
Not many.
And really, when we went back and looked at the Giants game, that one, Dexter Lawrence wrecked them, and he's going to do that to folk. But he just did. And after he wrecked them early, then they'd start slide. Charles would get all excited about coming over to help out at the center spot. You could see, I think I tweeted out earlier today, it's like Paul is like 6'4", 325. The center that they put in is like 6'5", 320, which is interesting because I thought maybe this is, not to dip too far off, but I thought maybe we were going to see a lot of Chris Rodriguez. They brought the fullback. And again, I really thought we were going to play smash mouth. Listen, it's odd. Tyler Larson wins they win football games when he plays center. I know that it probably means nothing, but they just tend to, and they were in that game, and I think they wanted to muscle folk, and I think they did that today. And I liked Chris Paul. The interesting thing about this, and I know you guys will appreciate this. They're forced to make these decisions, right? They get pushed into making the right decision all the time. Like, they just love to put the Say Juice inside until they're forced to kick him out. And maybe he's better on the outside. They like last year. It's infuriating that they are forced to do things I think the rest of us kind of feel like was the right thing all along.
I was
No,
wondering what
look.
Doug we were going to get today. I
Get the
was
real
wondering
Doug.
when we get the press Doug, delightful Doug, or direct Doug. We getting direct Doug today.
I know. I love it. I
He
love
ain't
it.
playing no games out here.
He
No.
ain't. He
Hey,
ain't
they
playing
said,
with the
they said
suckers,
it's the
man.
fire sale now, right? So let's get on to the fire.
The
I
fire
suppose.
sale, yeah, man. That's something I guess we'll talk about. But go ahead, Wale.
No, I was want to say like this. Well, into that. Let's go into that. Like, so
Oh.
the rumor was like, all right, they lose this game, folks are going to be shipped out. Do you think, you know how Ron is, like he does, like, to Ray's point, he does like moral victories. Do you think like them being close in this game, Ron's gonna be like, you know what, if we play like this, we can compete with anybody?
I don't. Let me rephrase that. I hope that's not Ron's decision, and he don't have to worry about stumbling into the right one on this thing. I think they'll probably tag Chase. Somebody said something about because of his not picking him as fifth, you can't tag him. I'm not sure about that, but
I don't know about that.
I hadn't heard that before. He to me is the most likely. They said, I'm not really into these things, but for those that are, they said, that Montez had already totally took all the Commanders Redskin stuff off of his Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm just old enough to know that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Or just young enough to know that that's not a good thing. Yeah. And who else brings value? Who you are trading that actually makes you feel like you're going to get something back? You got to like, to me, Chase is 24 years old. You hold on to a guy like that and hope that the new guy can be putting them in better positions to get right.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Allen, I don't know where Jay Glazer got that. Had you heard that? I mean, I know he, hit the do-rag and the sunglasses and got pissed off, and that's fine. I'm pissed off about it too, but he didn't say anything about leaving, I don't think.
Jay Glazer said that in the
Allen wanted out.
Yeah. I don't know where he got that from. I don't know. I guess he's getting that from the. Is he getting that from the tirade?
I had Mitch Tischler on the show Friday, and we were talking about potential guys that bring something back. To me, Jonathan Allen's one of the only guys that actually brings you a couple pennies back.
Yeah, if you want something like a real value, I agree with that. Like, I do think if you wanted to trade somebody, like if you really want
like
true
a top
value,
5-ish, 10-ish,
you
can
can
get. 2 years ago. The only reason he wasn't last year was because Payne went off.
Yeah, you can get. And I don't want Jonathan Allen to be traded, but you could get like a second rounder closer to a first for Jonathan Allen.
I think so, or a couple of mids.
A couple of mids, yeah.
What's Kemba Fuller worth to a team that's trying to get to the playoffs and maybe needs a little corner help? Yeah, right? Like, I mean, he's going to be 30 next year.
Mm-hmm.
To me, those are guys. If that's what we're fire selling, then let's go ahead and do it.
Jay Glazer is a complete idiot.
That could very well be true.
Yeah, I mean, if it was Schefter, I think I would maybe believe it. But Jay Glazer hasn't had any inside information on Washington this season or last. So now out the blue, he comes with this. But here's what I did hear, though. I heard that if the Eagles won convincingly, that a coaching change could have been imminent. I think Coach Rivera and Jack Del Rio, I think they saved their jobs because the team came out and played well in a losing effort. So I think they keep their jobs for the remainder of the year. But I heard that was a possibility. If the Eagles blow them out, I heard that, it was going to be a coaching change like mid-season.
Well, let's do this for just a second, if you don't mind, because I haven't
go for it, bro.
Fellas, about this. I don't buy it at all. Mm-hmm. I don't buy. I guess now if they're going to fire sale, I thought maybe nobody was getting traded either. So I was like, probably, at least one of those guys probably will get traded. Mm-hmm. But I mean, as far as that goes, like, I don't think anybody's moving. You get Ron Rivera, what does it do? You get rid of Jack Del Rio. I mean, who's calling the plays?
Mm-hmm. On defense, right?
Right. Like who's got a lot of experience calling the plays? You know who it is? Tight ends coach Juan Castilla called the defense in Philly for 1 year when they moved him from O-line coach to defensive coordinator. He has 1 year calling the plays.
Yeah.
You want Eric Bieniemy to succeed? When's the last time a guy got the interim head coaching gig and then kept it?
True. That's a very good point.
Somebody told me it was like Doug Marrone for the Jaguars in 2002 or something like that.
Yeah.
He stayed 4 years. To me, he's, whatever. He's the assistant head coach. He'll get the job if they move on. The bad thing for them is the bye week doesn't come until the middle of December. Yeah. So, like, you'd have liked to have made this move after the Thursday game where you have a mini bye. Mm-hmm. But again, what does it do? You're looking for continuity. You are trying to develop a young quarterback. I'm not sure firing people for the sake of firing him does any good. So I think I'd be stunned unless they do it around the bye just to see what Eric Bieniemy looks like for a couple weeks, having the whole gig. So that's my thoughts on that.
Fire. I mean, I would have fired him a while ago. I mean, I have no issue. To me, like I'll fire. I'm gonna be like,
well, then y'all get fired. I don't think
I
any of
will
them
fire.
do that
I don't
next
like. I don't
year.
want anybody lose. I mean, you don't want nobody lose their jobs. But if in terms of like in the perfect sense, in the perfect world, if no one's feelings are hurt and they, they're financially okay and they're cool with being fired, Jack Del Rio can go. Like he could just go for me. Like he could go because to your point, like you're right, Doug. Like in terms of continuity, who's gonna call plays, but like it's already bad. It is bad with talent. That's my thing. It's bad with talent. Like it's already bad. Like can it get any worse?
How could you put together a defense that has more
first rounders? Huh?
I mean, the defense is littered with dudes that are supposed to be studs, and
yeah. So that's my thing. Like, can it get so? If you fire him, could it get any worse? That's what I'm saying. Like, I guess that's the thing. Could it get any worse?
Yes, right. Probably not.
Yeah. So I would fire. Like, I would have no issue firing him because the only thing it could be to me is upwards because you're giving up third. Look, like let's be real. Like AJ Brown did whatever he wanted against his team, and he did it first week 1, and he did it again he did it the first game, and he did it again this game. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, you ain't learned your lesson? Like, you ain't learned? Like,
in fairness, he's got 1,000 yards on the season. So I mean,
he's a great. No, he's great.
He's killing everybody.
He's good, but you know what I mean? Like there's a way of doing things, and that's
that touchdown catch was ridiculous.
The one hand was great. Like the one hand was amazing. Anybody fails on that play, I'm not even mad at it. But to like, all right, like having a situation where, and like I mentioned earlier, I'm not gonna put a kid in Forbes on a Jaylen Brown AJ Brown 1-on-1. I'm talking basketball 1-on-1. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna do that. Like I'm not gonna put him in that situation where I saw what happened in the first outing, knowing that he had issues with it, and do it again in this situation. Like I feel like he could be like he didn't make the necessary adjustments. Like Jack Del Rio, the necessary adjustments, and like Ray said. We saw, like Rachel said, bring more pressure to a Jalen Hurts, a little more pressure, because we seen the blueprint with the Jets. Like the Jets did it with losing both of their cornerbacks, and you can't hinder that. You can't hinder him with your starters.
No,
it's crazy. That's what bothers me.
No.
That's what bothers me. And your defensive line is supposed to be comparable to the Jets. Like, yeah, and this is a Jets without Sauce Gardner and Reed, like without Reed and Sauce Gardner, they were still able to like hold down the Eagles offense. We can't do that.
The D line's been the biggest disappointment of the year, I think.
Tough.
I mean, the secondary's flying around. Those guys get paid a lot of money to catch footballs, and they've got 2 really good ones.
Mm-hmm. They do. They do.
Yeah, I thought they did about as good as job you can covering Swift, who I really thought was going to wreck us today with the linebacker situation.
Jamin did all right in the coverage against
I thought Jamin was fine.
Yeah.
Didn't hear Khalil Hudson very much. I thought maybe he'd get a little bit more run. And
Mayo.
Then, what it is, it's Mayo. Whatever.
It's Mayo.
Mayo's not supposed to be in there.
It's Mayo.
He's not. Right?
He's not. And
everybody on the timeline got all pumped up when they elevated Jabril Cox off the practice squad. And I was like, if you think David Mayo is a good
I agree. I knew it too. Like,
come on.
I knew it too.
Attention. Yeah.
I knew it too because I was like, Jabril is not going to start. He's not going to start. And if anybody was going to play, it would be Jamin and Khalil. And I know he's not going to play Khalil like that anyway. So it's going to be Mayo. Mayo came in the Giants game. That lets you know enough. All right, that lets you know already. So,
do you think they'll pay 31 a whole bunch of money?
I don't think.
Would you pay him a whole bunch of money?
Yeah, he deserves it. But I'm not sure if he will. They will, because I feel like now it's at a point where people are going to look at this talent and say, well, they're just underachieved, and they're going to find a reason to let it go. Let it leave this building. It's unfortunate.
So I love it. So
or they'll trade him.
Because of the history of the organization, if they let Curl leave, he'll immediately blow up into something.
I think all the dudes on defense that I feel that are top rated people like they'll leave and be good. Like I feel like Montez or Chase, whoever goes, will be wrecking stuff for years to come. I feel that Cam Curl, wherever he goes, will be wrecking stuff for years to come. Those individuals that are like on expiring deals that folks are talking about trading away, because I feel like this coaching staff isn't letting them is not letting them be what they can be. And I mean that, and I said that about Chase and Montez. I know a lot of people Chase and Montez, a lot of people want to pin them two together against each other in terms of which one you want to keep, Chase or Montez. And I'm like, it ain't their issue, because their talent is there. Like, they can play. You put them with a different coordinator and say, go eat and go hunt, rather than worrying about fits, stay in your lane and rushing lanes and this and that and the other. They're going to put up numbers. Those dudes will put up numbers somewhere else. All right. Here, they're not capable of putting up numbers. Same for Cam Curl. I think Cam Curl will be a better safety. We'll be talking about Cam Curl in a different lighting if elsewhere. But to go back to your question, I don't know that I doubt they're bringing him. I doubt he comes back, to be honest with you. Because we're going to franchise. I think you can't franchise multiple players like that. So
no, and again, I would have thought that maybe there was a chance that they tagged Tez, but I take him on his Instagram word and assume that he's out of here.
Yeah, I'm saying.
But like I said, I think somebody new will come in here. It'll be interesting to see what the numbers suggest, right? I mean, the new hire, Eugene Shen, should let everybody know exactly what time it is. And if you didn't know that beforehand, by the way, then you don't realize what they've been doing with the Philadelphia 76ers and the New Jersey Devils, where it's like some of the biggest analytic departments in the league. And that's what will be here too. Yeah. And think about this. We had 3 people in the analytics team this year. 3. It's the smallest in the league.
Small, yeah.
So it will be interesting to see what the new guy thinks about the numbers, right? Like Cam Curl is a PFF darling. So if we're going to start going by the numbers, it could be they'll appreciate this guy more, right? I mean, it's like people hate, my guy Rant tells me all the time, I prefer sacks to pressures. But the point of pressures is they will end up becoming
sacks. Agree. Totally agree with you.
The numbers suggest that Chase Young is going to get you all kind of pressures.
Yes.
Will the new guy want to get rid of one of these D tackles? Because the numbers say don't ever pay 2 guys $20 million at D tackle on the same team. So, like, these are the things that, as we're starting to look to the future, is what I think we need to pay attention to. Not so much of what's going on the field and in the building right now, because all of that will be different. At least
I'm checking the pulse of social media right now, and I'm also waiting for some post-game comments from Rivera. Right now, though, from what I'm seeing, I'm scanning, I'm listening to you guys too. But first of all, people think Eric Bieniemy gave this team a chance to win today, even though maybe he could have ran the ball a bit more. Sam Howell played excellent. And number 3, the officiating was sketchy. So far, not a whole lot of the defense can't stop anybody. They couldn't stop A.J. Brown, because A.J. Brown kills every team he plays against. I mean, he's got a now NFL record. How many games consecutive with 125 plus?
7.
Yeah, there we go, 7. So appreciate you. So I think right now people appreciate the performance. I know it's not a moral victory. I'm not going there, but what I'm saying is everybody watching that game knows this team definitely put forth the effort today. And that's something that you can't always say. Like in the Bears game, everybody was questioning, like, does this team even want to be on the field? So they didn't want their season to just sort of die out today. And I think that that's something to be commended. So if we're on a positive tip, I'm hoping that you do sort of have a takeaway, like, okay, maybe this team can be productive. You got the Patriots next week. That's all you can do is look forward to your next game. You still got to win out in the division. You have to. There's no, well, we're not thinking about that. Yes, you have to, because you cannot lose any more division games. So I'm thinking maybe, one of these guys do go. But based on what I'm seeing, it's a positive vibe, and that's rare after a loss. And that's rare after any game, to be honest. Usually, even after a win, this team is like, they're still trash. So I'm just giving you the pulse of the fans. I'm waiting for Rivera's comments to come out, because
let me read my man's comment. Let me read my man's comment real quick. Skin them alive. Say they can't finish a game. They come out for the second half in the same way every week. True, that's coaching. Hello, you're right.
Okay, so I want to ask you guys that, because I've seen both of you guys on X say this team under Rivera is always a good second half team.
They usually
are. They have been leading against Philly 2 times now, and not finished in the second half. Why is that?
Brian Robinson got 10 carries at 5.9 a clip. And I bet you he got 3 carries in the second half. That'd be my guess.
He got limited. No, I agree. He got limited carries. No, it's true. And I think that
no Chris Rodriguez. I thought this was going to be a game where they gave him a bunch of carries. I think he got 0.
Yeah, I felt like to a certain extent, I think that once the Eagles started creeping, I felt like there was a little bit of conservativeness. Like I think that tends to happen because they feel like there's some fear. There's a fear factor. That's my belief. There's a fear factor. So it's like in the second half, it's like how can we hold on rather than just take this W? You know what I'm saying? Like take it. Like it goes for it goes with like 4th and 1. Let's go to the 4th and 1 play. You're trying to be a little bit too cute and trying to get like a passing play where just say, you know what, we're here to beat you up. It's 1 yard. I got B-Rob. Let's go. Man to man. Let's just get this. Let's get this. Let's see who wants this, who wants this more. And I felt like that's not that move. Them passing the ball was saying, like, you know what, we're gonna finesse this way through rather than we want to take this win. I don't think and that's the whole thing.
That being said, while they have Dotson wide open over the middle.
No, I'm not saying it wasn't. Short play was there, but I know, but it's always an attitude. It's an attitude thing. I agree. I agree. There's an attitude thing. Just like, all right, for instance, let's go last year, right? Last year, the Monday night game. The way they played that game was an attitude way. Like running the football was an attitude. You know what I mean? Like they weren't the most. Washington wasn't the most dynamic running team last season, but they had an attitude when they played the Eagles in that Monday night game. It was an attitude game. They were 3rd and 1. They won't run the ball. You know, they were running it right at you.
Offensive coordinator.
Yeah, you look. That's why I didn't mention his name. Like we're in Hollywood. This is Halloween time. I'm not doing no candy, man. I'm not mentioning his name. I'm not mentioning his name, but I'm saying like it's an attitude. And I do, and this is the one thing about Bieniemy. Like I'm agreeing with you, Doug. Is like compared to the other dude, but I don't think the attitude plays like that. Yeah, the other guy. Yeah, I'm not calling his name, but yeah, I feel like that's one thing he does lack is that attitude of running the football. And it's wild because he's a running back. He was a running back.
Yes, I said that the other day. I agree.
And it's wild, but he doesn't have that attitude of saying, you know what, I'm gonna take this like mano a mano. I believe in my guy more than your guy.
Well, I said the other day, I think sometimes he forgets he doesn't have Mahomes back there. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that too.
He did say jokingly. He said jokingly he was heavily influenced by Andy Reid over the years, so that's part of what is
definitely has been
a bit stubborn. But for me, guys, 2 plays in the second half because when you're playing a top team in the division and some think in the league right now, the margin for error is so slim. Yeah. And you had Sam Howell who had a bad intentional grounding. I think that's something that he would want back. And then the blown coverage with Danny Johnson left Devontae Smith wide open. Those are 2 plays that you could have back in the second half that I think could possibly change the dynamic. I mean, it would because the Eagles may not have scored a touchdown on that drive and tied the game up. So I think, again, you can't play mistake-free football, but at the same time, some of those mental mistakes you got to eliminate when you're playing a top team in a division, conference, league, whatever you want to call it. But overall, man, like I said, I'm not mad. I'm not thinking it's gonna be a fire sale. But yeah, my man T Living has showed up, Wole, by the way, and he said only thing I want to hear from Rivera is that he's fired. Jack Del Rio is also stepping down to be with his family.
My man crazy, dude. My man crazy. I can't.
I told you the coaches have been catching ire from the fans for weeks, and I don't think that part is going to change. I think the players put forth a great effort today. Just more
pressure. Players? Which players? You said players, you mean offensive players.
I'm sorry, Wally. I just wanted to make sure I asked Rick. Where are you on Sam? How much more has he got to do before you draft and tackle in the top 5 next year or quarterback? Because they keep losing. I mean, that's what you'll do, right? You'll try to move all the way up and grab one. What does he got to do the rest of the way to prove to you don't need a quarterback next year?
That's a tough one, man, because I feel like he's played well. He's still a rookie in my eyes based on the number of starts that he has.
Me too.
But I think it depends on Bieniemy. I think Sam has shown he's a quarterback in this league, man, and you want to have consistency. I feel like Bieniemy has to balance and give him an opportunity to make bigger plays down the field. He missed one early. He missed Pringle early. I think he's got to make sure that, first of all, you don't turn the ball over as much. He didn't turn over the ball. He had 2 turns today. He had 2.
No, 1.
Oh, he had 1. He only had 1 pick. Because I was thinking about the fumble at the end. Man, I feel like right now I'm okay with Sam. Sam is not like an issue for me. I just feel like he needs help, which I think EB gave him today, getting the ball out quicker. A lot of quick throws to start the game. I feel like he made him comfortable. Getting guys open in space, using your tight end. I think he checked down. If there's one thing I think he could do better is getting a better read on defenses. I think at times, if he knew what was coming, I think he would make better decisions in terms of making sure he hits that first or second read versus holding the ball. But today, he didn't hold on the ball either. But consistency, I guess, Doug, is what I'm trying to say. Because I like Sam. I thought he was a second-round draft pick. I didn't think he was a fifth rounder. So I'm a Sam fan. I'm just a little biased, because I go back to ACC football. DMV guy. Terps was in ACC for a long time. So been watching Carolina for years. So I'm a little biased. So asking me is probably not a good thing. But if you're gonna do it though, again, Wale, we talked about this. You're gonna go for Caleb at this point. If you're gonna switch quarterbacks, you better go for broke. I think Sam is good.
No, I think that like for me, if you go, this is what this is what I said earlier. So Ray's referencing Caleb Williams. I didn't mention it. I was saying, and I'm a Sam supporter, so everybody knows that I'm a Sam supporter.
I love Sam.
But if we're talking about like trading the house, then yeah, you might as well like say, hey, you're going for Caleb. Like that's my thing. If we talking about a real fire sale, right? Then you might as well go all in. Like that's what I'm saying. Like if you're trying to win games, then yeah, you're trying to win games, then yeah, a tackle. Like that's the goal, to get a tackle. I agree with you, Doug. Like the goal is to get a tackle because I think you need a tackle for Sam because Sam has shown to me that he's that guy. I ain't gonna lie. I look at Sam as that guy. Like I just do. Like I feel like
I asked it on X a couple of weeks ago. I think there were somewhere like 20,000 responses, and it was most definitely get a tackle.
Yeah, get a tackle. I totally agree with you.
I was actually surprised, because a lot of people like flashy things, but I was surprised. At least 90% of the chat was all in on one of these big tackles that are supposed to be so good next year.
Yeah, they should. They should. No, and I agree. I think that they should, but it depends. It's almost like it's the shiny toy that falls to you if you're that bad, right? It's like that thing. It's like you're not supposed to be that bad, but all of a sudden he's just there.
Yeah,
he's there. Like, and you're saying to yourself, like, I mean, he's supposed to be that one. So if you're that bad, you can't you can't say no. It's almost like I reference this, almost like when Randy Moss fell to the Minnesota Vikings. They had Chris Carter and they had Jake Reed. They didn't need Randy Moss. They had positions they need more than wide receiver. They was like, you know what?
Everybody needed Randy Moss.
Everybody, exactly. That's the point. Everybody needs a Randy Moss. If Caleb Williams is who you think he is, everybody needs a Caleb Williams, unless you have one of the other guys, right?
If you're drafting 3 and Marvin Harrison Jr. falls there, do you take him?
Yep, sure do. Why? Because he's one of them, and I'm a Michigan fan. He's one of them. You know what I mean? It's like it comes to is the tackle close enough? This is the thing. It's fair. Is the tackle close enough to a Marvin Harrison? If he's close enough, then yes, I'll take the tackle. If he's not, I'm taking Marvin Harrison. And it's no knock on Jahan.
I asked that the other day. I was surprised by the answers.
Yeah.
A lot of people told me, where to go, which cliff to jump off when I suggested that maybe Marvin Harrison would be the way to go if you're going top 3. But to your point, and that's why I asked the question, like how much better is he on your chart than the tackle? And I think they need a tackle. Like again, go ahead and draft Caleb Williams. And how does he work behind, how does he work behind Leno? I agree. Guard B, Ricky Stromberg's first year starting, Cosme, and whatever the guy's name is.
Well, you have a new coach.
I won't say his name. How about
that? You'll have a new coach to worry about. You'll have a new coach and a new regime to worry about who to bring in to help out that young guy. But I mean, again, it's not. Again, if you're asking me in a perfect situation, Washington is not the number 1 pick in the draft, then yes, tackle. You should really go tackle. Like that's to go back to your question. Yeah, Sam Howell is the guy. Like I don't argue that at all. I think that like every rookie young player struggles with deciphering NFL defenses. They hold the football. That's usually a rookie mentality. That happens in the NFL. Like I don't like usually I'm like, if for a rookie, usually like if you want a rookie to be successful, your O-line is typically dominant for a rookie. That way they can hold the football and like it's like coverages aren't as difficult. You know what I'm saying? Because you hold the football and people are getting open. The problem with Sam is that he had not the problem with Sam. The problem with Washington is they had a horrible offensive line that Sam had to work with. So now everything is raced up for Sam. You know what I mean? So yes, he's gonna if he holds the football, he's getting sacked. You know what I mean? Like we mentioned Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has spent 3 years in the league. He holds the football. But he has his premier offensive line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it just depends, like how you build your offensive line for a younger guy.
If, as they say, Bieniemy had control of the offensive personnel and brought in Wiley and brought in Nick Gates, and I mean, again, like where do we start laying blame on coaches that people are so high on? Because I'm fairly sure he's the one that brought those two in.
Oh, I blame him for, and I'm an EB dude. I blame him for Wiley. I'm not sure. I'll definitely blame him for Wiley because that's his guy. He brought Wiley. He wanted Wiley, and it's bad. It was bad. Yeah, I'm not going to tell like that. He's not a star. He's not a star in this league. I'm sorry.
There needs to be a culture change, obviously, but quarterback, I don't think you need to change that. By the way, news around the league looks like Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles.
I saw.
And if that's the case,
it's
another reminder why having a quarterback that you can rely on and keep upright is so important. So offensive line will be critical, man, next year if you're going to keep Sam, no doubt, because Kirk Cousins has been hit a lot as well. And you don't want Sam to end up like that where he ends up, unfortunately, sustaining a serious injury because you neglect to put him in a position where he can thrive, man, put a line in front of him that can protect him. So, yeah, I'm with Doug right now, man. The tackle is probably the best thing.
Oh, definitely.
But at first round, if you see that great talent, like y'all talked about, it's going to be hard to pass up. It also depends on how you finish the season as well, right?
Yeah, Atlanta got Bijan. They had a good running back. They saw Bijan Robinson, and they said, "No, what? We must have Bijan."
True. Now, that's not a great example for me personally. When Atlanta got Julio, that was a great example because they already had Roddy White at number 1.
Which, I mean, you always put
somebody Tony Gonzalez, and you went and got you traded up to get him.
Yeah, but I get you. But still, though,
Atlanta it always drafts daggone.
But you always
never draft the right defense. Don't get me started on them.
But y'all had Roddy and Gonzalez, but you added Julio. I mean, Julio is a starter, so you added a starter. And Bijan, like your running back is your premier running back. Like Algier is your starting running back. You got Bijan. Like Algier was a 1,000-yard rusher, right?
It's a great example, just not a good example for me.
Got you.
Atlanta ran the ball by committee and did well at it last year. They didn't need Bijan necessarily, but you had to get him because he was so talented.
Exactly.
I'm totally with you on that one. I'm just
Caleb Williams is that guy.
Okay, Doug, my bad. What's your man's name from Georgia that Philly drafted? What's his name again?
Sure, which one? They draft all of them.
Yeah, they got 2 of them.
I think the tackle both years, Nakobe Dean they had out there today is good. They drafted Nolan Smith this year.
Right.
What are you talking about? The tackles?
He's talking about the D tackles. He's talking about
Jalen Carter.
Okay, there we go. That's who I thought Atlanta was going to take. I thought they were going to take Carter because clearly a team that can't get any sacks would take him. But you get Bijan Robinson, and I'm like what Wole's saying. I'm like, okay, I'm cool with that because I'm like, we got dynamic running back. So yeah, if you got a guy at the skill position who's the best player in the draft, you go ahead and take him.
And you're a Ritter guy, right? You like Ritter, don't you? You like Ritter? You ready to move on?
I like Ritter. He's young. He's like Howell's a little bit better than him right now, but they're going to have their ups and downs early on, like most young quarterbacks do early in their careers. So I'm okay with that. That's why I'm like, you got to be smart when it comes to your quarterback. You really do, because you can have Sam Howell for years to come. I think he's that good. I just feel like he's got to have somebody in front of him to keep him upright.
So what do you do now? Since I mentioned Emmanuel Forbes. Because I like Emmanuel Forbes. And I feel like I'm being hard on him, but I like Emmanuel Forbes. And you saw like Danny Johnson giving up that big play because it's just a blown coverage. Do you now slide in Emmanuel Forbes back into like the rotation? Since again you lost this key game, and I guess like it's about to be a fire sale, so you might as well play your young dudes anyway, right?
Well, they started playing him again last week, right?
I know they did. Yeah. I mean more playing time, like more, because I felt like they're getting him gradually giving him more playing time, but now to a point where how about just showcasing him a little bit more?
I mean, that's fine by me. Like I said, I think if you can get a 5th rounder for Kendall Fuller, I'd do it right now and just let him play.
How about would you start Quan? Will you start Quan Martin now?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I'd start everybody that I drafted last year.
Exactly.
In the 5th round, I mean, good Lord. I mean, Ron really went there this year, right? And just told you he drafted folk that probably weren't going to play till next year. It's like, wow.
That's crazy.
Man. I like Forbes.
Get Quan Martin out there. Get Forbes out there. I'd have Ricky Strom.
Me too. Why is Ricky wrong? Yeah, why?
I can tell you why I think that it is. Because Ricky is a rookie too. And it's either on the center or the quarterback to make the calls on the offensive line and read the defenses. And what I'm assuming is they feel like a veteran president at center would be better right now as far as getting the checks and calls made. That's all I can assume. Because if not, you put him in there. Right?
Agree.
I mean, what? I mean, Larson's great and all, but he's just barely a starting level. I mean, that's not. And again, you drafted this kid in the 3rd round.
Yes,
The 3rd round. Get him on the field.
I agree. I thought he was the one that was going to start. To be honest with you, mentally, when I heard that Gates was getting benched, but then I saw the clips and I was like, oh, it's gonna be Larson.
He's a 4-year starter at Arkansas. Played under one of the best, under Sam Pittman, one of the best offensive line coaches that ever did it.
Mhm.
Like he either can play. To me, he either can play or he can't. I thought it was interesting. Like he didn't even get an invite to the Senior Bowl. They had like a 7th round grade on him.
Mhm.
So it'd be interesting to see what he is. You know, I don't know, but
Yep.
I'd get them all out there. Andre Jones didn't play today. KJ
Not at
Henry
all.
didn't play today. Like
Cole Turner was inactive.
inactive, and that's because he doesn't block good enough.
I know. It's
Like
okay,
as soon as
though.
Cole Turner wasn't in, I said they're going to try to pound the ball. And again,
Yeah,
they
but
really
they did know.
didn't, but
They
I mean,
really
I guess-
didn't know.
I guess.
Hey, Doug.
you can't block them.
Do you think fans should appreciate Cody Barton now, Doug?
No.
No. Because of
Okay.
I
Mayo.
feel like he played well against Atlanta.
No, we should not.
Cody Barton is the spicy mayonnaise I like it from Arby's. It's still mayo, but it's got a little bit of kick to it. All right? That's about. And I love the horsey sauce. So I mean, I guess maybe
I
appreciate
love
it
the food reference. I love the food
I
reference.
love it, man.
So now the comments coming from players after this game is starting to trickle on X, and you got 2 responses by Chase and Montez that are interesting.
Uh-oh.
So Montez Sweat basically said, "I can't control the rumors." I said Montez said that, right?
He
Montez
cannot
said,
flame. He doesn't have to flame the fire by cleaning his Instagram.
Yeah, that's his fault.
Right. And then Chase says, "I can't control the rumors either, but I love being in Washington." So Chase
Yeah, 'cause
wants
he's
to,
from
Chase
here. Of
wants
course
to
he
do
does.
those commercials. He wants to be here, man.
No.
He still wants to be here. But it's sad.
You guys
bro.
know this. You talk to
2000.
plenty of athletes. A lot of them don't like playing where they're from.
This is true, but he likes it though. I'll say that much. I met him. I've seen him in person. He likes it. He likes it here.
He doesn't like it next to Allen. I'll tell you that.
Huh?
I mean, as soon as he got back in next to Allen quit performing. I do know that. I don't know. why.
I think I agree. I agree with
The
that.
two of them
There's
together
something.
don't gel well. I would have liked
Yeah.
to see them flip sides.
That's not a
Doug.
bad idea. That's actually a good
Doug,
idea.
you've been gone for too long, man. Chase loves Litos, bro. I'm telling you, man. He don't want to go nowhere, man.
Hey, I love Litos too. If they'd like to sponsor the podcast, please holler at me. Yeah, we'll work it out.
I love this.
Big
Hey,
difference.
we
I
got
love that,
Jets
man.
Pizza coming to town, man. There's too many opportunities
Oh,
for
man, I love it.
endorsements for Chase to leave town, man.
Hey,
But
man.
hey,
Look at
George,
George.
listen,
George.
I mentioned Cody Barton only because I think Doug, was it you that put on X? Hey, y'all didn't like Cody Barton. Now we got Mayo back here. You should appreciate. I thought that was you. That's why I asked you.
No, that wasn't me. No.
Nah,
I
that was me.
I wanted Nicole D.
That was me. That was me, bro. I was like, yo,
Okay.
after seeing Mayo play come in the game against the Giants game, I was
They
like,
are-
I appreciate Cody.
They are. I'll tell you this: they are not fans of middle linebackers with melanin on the Commanders. Not a good fan. Not a good fan.
I wonder why,
You ain't
though,
lying.
man.
You ain't
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the defensive coordinator lacks some melanin and played linebacker.
and play linebacker.
I'm just saying. I don't know.
That is so mystifying. It really is.
I
But
kind of agree. I don't know.
I
just
talked
kinda
about
agree
this
with it.
before the game. I said this roster is too talented to be in this position, man. We're talking about a fire sale, and I'm sure the rest of the league is like, we could definitely use some guys on that
Yeah.
roster, on both sides of the ball, man. So you can get value. I know that much because right now,
You
according
think
to-
that that's true, Ray? You think the rest of the league values our players, or this is a homer thing where we value them much more than the league?
No, I'm gonna tell you why.
I know
You
not
what?
you personally, Ray. I know
I'm
not
actually-
you personally.
No, but let me tell you why. Because I had we had Breland on the show, NFL player, played
Yeah.
for somebody else.
Love Bree.
Yeah.
Bree was like, yo, these dudes are dogs. He's talking about the defensive players. He was like, Allen, he mentioned him, Allen, Payne, even how negative people have been on Chase. He said, Chase, He said Montez. He's like, these dudes can go.
Well, you just
like,
named 4 first rounders.
But yeah, exactly. But I'm saying like, but that's the people that we're talking about trade. Like, and even Cam Curl. Like, these are players that we're talking about trading. Like these, like they respect those players. Like the players that we're talking about. So I'm saying like the players know how talented these individuals are. Now, collectively, it's a different thing about how they're being coached up and how they are as a speaking. The players, some of these dudes are like that. That's why it bothers me that this defense doesn't perform the way it needs to perform. Because I'm like, players know what's up. Like they know what time it is when it comes to these players. Like it's not, we're not blind by some of the players. I think we are blinded by other like low level players that think they're better than what they are. I agree with that. But I think the high level, the first rounders that Cam Curl's not a first rounder, but people love Cam Curl. Like they think he's like players think he's like that. So I'm just saying like the first rounders and also included players that we have all talked about being guys that we want to keep here that are like on expiring deals or, you know what I mean? Or they're first rounders that they're valued by other players. They definitely are.
Check this out, y'all.
What?
That's
Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams.
You can start seeing that every week until they
win. You're going to see it every week, though. That's different. You'll see it every week.
What's the rankings? I'm curious. Who's the worst team in the league right now?
Oh man, we're not even close.
Carolina.
The Giants keep losing. The Giants probably lose more than us.
I felt bad for Tyrod, man. That dude can't. Every chance he gets to start, he gets injured immediately. Yeah. I mean, immediately. Like clockwork. I feel bad.
So you got the Giants. You got Carolina's pretty bad. We got a lot of bad teams.
What do they do to fix it?
Here,
yeah, they should. They should have promoted Jack last year if they were going to keep him, and that way they to like assistant head coach, and that way they could have promoted Chris Harris to defensive coordinator.
I know, true.
Kept him. To me, of all the big blunders, and there have been many,
Chris Harris is the one. Chris Harris is the one. What did they do to fix it? Good question. Because I don't know if they can do it with the people in the rooms. I don't know if they can do anything, but people making decisions. Because it is what it is. Like, right? It's the same thing we've seen over the last some odd years under this regime. So they're probably
then you tell fans then how to. I mean, it's not our job to tell fans. I understand that. We're doing a podcast. We'll do it anyway. What would you tell to the fans going forward? What is the expectation? They're going to lose these things. Keep rooting like there's only 17 of them. You got to root like crazy every week. What is the message, Wale, to the masses?
Patience, right? It's patience because you're going to. They don't have it, so it is what it is. Because I'm not going to tell them a lie. Like we know the track record with this regime. Like we know it. So this is going to happen. This is what I will say for the fan base. They will go. I don't look at schedules. I don't care about the schedules. I don't care who they play, whatever. That does nothing for me. I learned that from Ray. That is nothing for me. They will go on some type of winning streak. They will go on some type of winning streak in the point of the season to make people feel good. They will go on a winning streak. They will go on a winning streak. So if they want anything positive out of the situation, thinking that what to wait for that streak where they look good for 3 to 4 weeks. That's going to happen. I will say.
And should we be excited about that as we lose draft position?
No, but I'm just telling you what they should be excited for because everybody likes a win. Everybody likes when their team wins. You know what I mean? Because it gives you hope. You're going to have hope. You're going to have false hope, right? So live in the moment. That's what I would tell them. Live in the moment. Because in the moment, you're going to feel decent. Like you're going to feel good when you're going to start looking at the schedule and like, oh, they won this game. Oh, they won that game. Oh, what's the playoffs? What's the playoff season? Oh, they're there now? Oh, okay. All right. Then it's quiet. Everybody's cool. They calm. They don't want to jinx it. You know what I mean? They get in the game and maybe they have one of the playoff slots. Maybe they get one of those. That's right there. That's your peak. That's when you get happy. Because then after that, they tend to go crashing down.
Well, send me whatever edible you ate before you just said that because I want one. The playoffs? Playoffs?
I said playoffs. I said they'll get one of those playoff seeds, and then they'll drop down after that. That's all I'm saying.
I think you got to focus on the potential for the future. You're going to have a new stadium at some point. You're going to be back in the district. I think that's huge. I think you also have a good asset in Magic Johnson to be a sort of the face of the franchise. He's a winner. And I think when he speaks after games, people listen. So I feel like just using the tools that you have, just saying this is a brand new start, y'all. We are still experiencing a bit of what we inherited, but I'm telling you, here's what's to come. And I think that's how you keep fans engaged and excited. Maybe they won't be excited about this season, but I think that will say, okay, all right, we can look forward to this. It's all good what we're looking at now. What's going to happen over the next few days will dictate a whole lot. It's going to dictate not just the future of the franchise. It's going to dictate the future of our shows. Doug, what direction does your show go in depending on what choices the front office makes? Because if we're talking about, we're going to keep this team intact and try to compete, that's a hard sell for us to keep talking about the X's and O's week in and week out when right now you're 0-3 in the division and you look like you're headed nowhere. So that's gonna be the telltale sign is, okay, what are we going to do with this roster and who's going to make the personnel decisions? Because a lot of people also are angry with Ron about the way he's evaluated talent and some of the players that he's brought in. They put it all on him in spite of the fact that you got Hurney, you got Mayhew, you got others who can make decisions. But Ron has been the one that has, in many people's eyes, handpicked this roster.
Because he did.
Yeah.
I mean, and if he didn't, the GM that he handpicked did, right? I mean, this is their baby, and they wanted that, and they got it. I mean, there are not very many organizations, head coach, GM, but now they have. If you go look at and it's been like this ever since the new owner bought the team. He did, like, if you go to the website, it does not say president of football ops anymore. Under where Rivera is, it just says head coach.
Good.
Head coach. But that doesn't mean he wasn't making the decisions, because anybody you talk to that covers the team has always said that Ron was the final say.
So looking at social media, hearing that Josh Harris, one of his primary goals is to sell more season tickets, get more Commanders fans in seats. That way you have more of a home field advantage. That's something else that may be critical in terms of helping or aiding the team and getting some W's. I don't know if that's a big deal for you guys personally, but
it'd be a lot more. We talked about patience a bunch. It'd be a lot easier to be patient, I think, next year when you've got a full rebuild. Like, this is when you're on the plane and it's going down. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh shit, the plane is going down. Next year, the plane's down, right? Like, we made it, we survived, and now we've got to like struggle to get back to wherever the big road is. Like, that's to me, that's the difference.
Culture. Let me give you some examples of why culture needs to change, and this is why Rivera has to go. And we know he's gone anyway. Darius Slay posted this on X. He said, "Ugly game," but he said, "We'll be better." They're not happy after a win. Okay. Yeah. Sam Howell said, "We were right there, but we let it slip away." It's the Denny Green.
That's different.
They who we thought they were, but we let them off the hook.
That's different. I know you. That's different. Because I saw his reaction is different. His reaction is different from that saying. Because you look at him, he was pissed. Sam was pissed, like pissed. You could see him.
Oh, because he played a really good game. I think that's what it is. But I'm just saying, man. Like,
I just thought the two Terry drops were brutal at the end of the game.
That was terrible. Definitely. That was terrible.
Definitely. I mean, I get the pick he threw. You knew he was due for a pick.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks. I mean, he threw for almost 400 yards. Picks come when you try to put out those kind of numbers.
Yeah.
Listen, I know Terry would tell you he'd never make that drop again. Yeah. Two of them, it was brutal.
Yeah. Brutal. I want to actually talk about that too, to be honest with you. Like, what do you think is going through his mind? Like, Terry, because, he prides himself on coming up big for his quarterbacks. He's done that throughout his career here in DC, to be honest with you. And to have two back-to-back plays in succession. I know, like, at first, I know. I know they like Mark, like they were initially, like Mark Schreff was saying, like, the first pass was like Sam's fault. I was like, no, it's not. He just dropped it. Like, Terry catches that 24/7. And then the second pass, just to have that back to back, like, what do you think it was going through his mind? Because, again, he prides himself on it.
I think he heard the head coach say this was the most important game of the year.
I like that one.
And he dropped
some pressure on him. I like that.
And listen,
like
the best of them drop them.
Yeah.
His counterpart wasn't dropping them today. Like AJ Brown caught everything. It was
everything.
I mean, he went out of space and caught a couple balls today.
Sheesh.
Oh man.
I mean,
there's still hope for you guys.
That's what I think Terry did. I think Terry looked at his game and said, damn.
Say again, Doug. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry, Rick. I'm just saying I'm sure he looked, and I'm sure he knows and feels terrible.
Yeah.
How can he not?
I know. That's the thing that got me, because those are big plays. They need those plays, and could have checked.
Because I was sitting there.
Right, I know, because it's wild, because we just had this discussion. I just had this discussion last week about Jahan dropping that pass. Like, and it's like now, oh man, like the guy that I even said, like, Terry never does that, would never do that. That's a pass that in that situation, Terry's gonna come down with it. And the play where, like, those are plays that they're easy. They're easy plays for Terry. No, they're easy plays for Terry. But I liked what you said though, Doug, is that your coach is putting all the pressure, saying this is the biggest game of the season, and we're like what 8 games. We're now 8 games. We're 8 games, 7 to 8 games in now.
It was the head coach's
the head coach put the pressure on you. Yeah, for the coach putting pressure on his players, and now you feel uptight. You feeling a little tight. I agree with that. That's a good point. It's a very good point. What you?
I don't know. We're stuck in as my plane reference. We're stuck in a holding pattern right now.
Yeah,
like there's nothing that can be done. I still don't. This whole fire sale thing doesn't sound right to me. Who's selling the pieces off? Why on earth would Josh Harris look at the roster and what they've got going and let any of those guys make any decisions for the team he just paid $6 billion for? I wouldn't. Would you?
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't. That's what I'm saying. That's why I personally don't believe
man in there real fast, right?
Yeah, I agree.
He could have had that dude in months ago. Mm-hmm. Or he could have waited till the season was over. He just happened to drop homeboy off 5 days before the trade deadline.
Exactly. That's why it kills me, because I'm like, how can you trust this organization? Trust this regime? Excuse me. Trust this regime to trade to trade the one. Not even just like you can trade whoever, but to properly trade somebody. You know what I mean? Like, how can you trust that you'll get something fair coming back? You know what I'm saying? So how can you trust that? They trust this regime. You don't trust them with anything.
Would you trade Terry for a first round pick?
Which team? Which team? Depends on. I ain't gonna lie to you, Doug. It depends on the team, because that team is guaranteed to be a top 5.
Let's say it's somebody picking in the mid-teens.
No, I wouldn't. If somebody's greedy enough to get him who's within the top 5, though, we can talk.
I hear you. They're all just what ifs, but I remember this was the conversation 2 years ago when the Titans got a first round draft pick for AJ Brown. Now if we're going to go back into history, though, I think they
messed up.
Like to have him back.
Exactly. So it depends. Like to me, it's where that team is drafting at. So if I have a good opportunity to get 1 to 5, I could see myself doing it. But I wouldn't. I mean, I would. It'd be hard for me to trade Terry ever. That's the truth, though. It'd be hard for me to trade Terry ever. So in terms of this game, I'm gonna start with you. Ray. I didn't get Doug some time to chill out. Give me some positives. Give me some positives, Ray, out of this game, bro.
Oh, most definitely. Of course, Sam Howell is a positive. Mm-hmm. I think even Eric Bieniemy is a positive, because I think it's a great bounce back week for him. He was being killed in the media and amongst the fan base for the game he called in New York. Mm-hmm. I want to give a shout out to the entire team for the energy that they played with. I thought that was necessary. Deron Payne is my last positive, man. He came to ball today, man. And he gave you a chance. Look, the first team to stop the brotherly shove, man. Got to give Deron Payne some love, because I feel like he anchored it today.
Facts.
And that was Big Phil in on that play. It was good to see him out there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So Doug, you, man, what's your positives, man?
I do like the game that Bieniemy called.
Yeah.
I like whether they were forced or not. I liked Chris Paul at guard. They've been talking about bringing some nasty. I thought Chris Paul was nasty.
Oh, he was nasty. He was nasty.
When you watch back, you'll see. I mean, he was chucking dudes in that game. So I think he gets a lot of credit. Listen, this was huge. Imagine how big this was for Jahan Dotson after last week.
Look at you. Look at you.
You know what I mean? Like, he could have crumbled.
Yeah.
The same thing with the offense after that interception, or no, it was the penalty. They get that whack ass penalty that's like 1st and 25.
Oh my God!
Every game this year, I promise you, they crumble after that.
Mm-hmm.
And to get back in there and get it down the field, I thought like that to me was the biggest progression of the offense, is that when they had negative plays or off plays, it didn't just destroy the entire thing, because that to me was happening early in the year. And I'm with you. Deron Payne to me is the only guy on that defense that I wouldn't send off.
Yeah.
I think he still hadn't gotten to the best he can be. I don't think. I think he's got another gear left to go. So I'm with you on Payne. I was pumped when they signed him last year. I never thought that would happen with the 2D tackles, but I think it was worth every penny. And Curl was flying around again.
Yeah,
Good
Curl's
game for
awesome.
Curl. Yep.
Yeah,
So
Curl's. Yeah, I agree.
it was odd. This is another one of those games where they, Philly had 17 points and was down in the fourth quarter. Right. It's just another one of those weird games where it was like we were in that thing, and then all of a sudden you look around and we're not in this thing at all. So it was not, that's the frustrating part, because so many things work today. Like we could have a laundry list of good things from today, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
And yet,
we're still here. We're here with the loss. For me, it's definitely the growth of Sam Howell. That kid continues to make plays. He could have, like we talk about Jahan, he could have pretty much took his stuff and went into a corner after that Giants game, and he came in this game against the NFC champions and put in work for the second time.
Gibson did too.
Gibson did too. Yeah, and Jahan, they all put in work. They learned. They bounced back well, and I think that's, in terms of the growth, right? He's showing you growth. And EB, like Ray said, EB definitely. Like folks, it's wild how this fan base is so negative when something is better than it was prior, and it's not just for one. It could be for anything, any situation, quarterback, wide receiver, not just play callers. But it's amazing where I feel like people tend to forget where they were last year compared to where they are this year. You know what I mean?
We've been marching through the desert and we're thirsty, Wale.
I know.
Giving us like seltzer water instead.
I know, but I'm like, we gotta there are things that are better. Like there are things that are actually better. Like no one's perfect. No one calls a perfect game. No one throws the perfect pass. No one has the perfect run. No one sees as a running back, you don't see every hole that's out there, right? But
now, that being said, Ray, real quick, Wale, if Howell has a bad game next week, I want him out of here.
Exactly. That's what's going to happen. Like, that's going to happen, right? People are going to say he's not it. He sucks, this, that, and the other. And just for him to have that type of growth as a young player, to me, is amazing. EB, same thing. I don't want to be redundant in terms of like special teams. I'm gonna get some props to Joey Sly. Like that's it. To
career long, right?
Yeah, career long. But he made the 56, and we thought it was all good. It was a penalty.
Franchise
5 yards.
Franchise long.
Franchise long.
Really?
Pushed him back 5 more yards. You're thinking like, oh, he gonna miss it. Here we go.
He was pissed too.
Boomed it
on his face.
Yeah, he's pissed. Boomed it. So I have to give him his flowers. You know what I mean? Like special teams, I'll give him your flowers. And other than that, that's it. Like, because the defense was trash. I'm transitioning to negative. The defense was trash.
Is this the compliment sandwich here?
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm all for it. The Mayo trash. I don't even know why you keep playing Mayo. Like now I'm about to vent. Sorry, now I'm going to vent. I don't know why you play him. I don't know why Mayo plays. I'm really like annoyed by it. Like knowing that everybody knows that they can get whatever they want on Mayo in the passing game. Like just run a drag or whatever, and your dude's gonna be open. Running back, wide receivers, tight end, they're going to be open. Like him playing, I'd rather have a linebacker run fast and mess up than have Mayo out there. I'm sorry, that's just the thing. I'd rather have you mess up going full speed than seeing that. Like you said, spicy, just like Spicy Mayo. I had an issue with Spicy Mayo the same way. Like I'd rather have a linebacker running full speed trying to hit somebody than having Cody Barton, sorry that you're hurt, out there on the field. Like I just want people just to play with fierce energy and not being scared to make mistakes, being out there to make plays. So the defense trash. Del Rio playing my man Forbes on AJ Brown, trash, big trash. Like don't do that to that young man. That young man is traumatized. Like stop doing that. Like he's traumatized. He sees Brown. He's like, I don't want this for real. I don't want this smoke. He act like he want the smoke, but he really don't want the smoke.
He's the only one with the speed to attempt, I think.
Yeah.
You want Fuller covering him?
Look.
You want St. Jude covering him?
Unfortunately, I would, because he's traumatized. It's called he's trauma. Look, he was baptized and he ain't like it. He's baptized by fire. He ain't like it at all.
Daryl Green said he could fix him real quick.
He did. He did.
I never heard they like it. What does that insinuate? We don't
I don't know. That says that you ain't doing your job, because I told you that staff is trash, big trash. So yeah, they're trash. I'm trying to think of what's trash. Yeah, that's it. And props to the offensive line. I'm going back to props to the offensive line. I was proud of you guys.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Ray, you want some negatives, Ray? I just want to
just one negative. I already shared just my thought about getting more pressure on that fourth down play against Jalen, but I got to go Terry for my negative. I'm sorry, you're the franchise guy. You got to come up with at least one of those balls. The first one hit him in the face, and maybe he could have adjusted differently because. I mean, awkward, I think right? I thought that was on Sam. I don't want to debate you though, Ole. I ain't got time.
You're gonna lose that one, buddy.
The second one was a clear drop, and that fourth down was huge. And I mean, we might be having a different discussion. And the what is, I know right now, Jahan Dotson's he's on X saying what's considered a catch in the NFL, and it's being reposted by some players and all that.
Yeah, that one on him I thought was a catch.
Me too.
Yeah, I thought that was a catch as well. I'm not mad at him. I feel like Terry, though, you got to come up with that. And I think Terry knows that. And that's fair criticism. It's constructive. It's not anything. I'm not using the word trash like Wole. And that's my only negative, man. This team came out to play the defense for its critical turnovers. You had your opportunities, and the defense was part of that. Terry, though, in that moment, they paid him. I think you gotta make that catch.
Hey, don't give us your negatives, and then we're going to end this show.
Okay. To me, oddly enough, it's got to be the front five on the defense. I mean, that is one of the better offensive lines in the league. I get that. But you've got 4 first-rounders, a second-rounder now that Mathis is back. I mean, like, John Ridgeway wasn't high, but he plays really good. James Smith-Williams, I think of all the guys that play end on this team, James Smith-Williams is a guy I think I'd pay. But they didn't get home at all, and you're supposed to be able to get home with the 4. Put a lot of pressure on the linebackers that they're not good enough to take that. So particularly the front 4 gets no love for me this weekend. How many sacks we had today?
2? Was it 2?
2.
I believe it was 2.
How many times they get him, and then Chase was spinning inside, and Cuz was just running to the sideline for 25. Like, that shit is infuriating.
I know.
To me, it's the front 5 just wasn't good enough today. Although I will say I thought Jamin and Duran had very good games.
Yeah, I agree. Well, folks, sorry that the Commanders disappointed you all. I'm kind of used to it, so I'm kind of like in my zone now. I'm in my zone. So
Ray asked earlier what the podcast would be like going forward if they start losing. It's the same as every other podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
They've been losing for 2, 3, 4 years now. So
yeah. Come on. And truth be told, like Ray said, when it's negative, we get a bunch of people chiming in. So.
That's true.
Man. It is what it is.
Oh, man. Y'all are killing me, man. Third down efficiency was better today. There's a lot of positives to take away from this.
That's what I said. There's a list if you want to do positives.
Yeah, but it's still, at the end of the day, it equals a loss. That's what I'm talking about.
The fans are killing Rivera right now. I'm just telling y'all. They mad he didn't challenge. He said he didn't see the big board in time. It's gonna be a long week. Another long week.
We're used to that. He messes up all the time with that type of stuff. He can't help it. Anyway, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and Go Everything. Also tweet us at ABG_everything. Hit us up on IG at ABG_everything. I like our All Burgundy and Go Everything Facebook page. Hey, make sure you subscribe to our All Burgundy and Go Everything YouTube channel as well. Hey, thanks to homie. I want to thank the homie Doug for being on. Appreciate you, Doug.
Always a blast coming on when you fellas, you know that.
We appreciate you. And Ray, man, thanks for B. John scoring that touchdown for my fantasy football team. I appreciate B. John. Anyway, you've been listening to All Burgundy and Go Everything, powered by the Urban Sports Team and Fox Sports Radio, 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia, for ages. Deuces. We out, folks.